Margaret sat on her worn-out armchair, eyes fixed on the ceiling as the evening breeze swayed the thin curtains. Her mind was elsewhere on debts, unpaid school fees, and the landlord's threats. She clenched her fists in silent frustration. Life had been nothing but a string of unfulfilled dreams since her husband died. In the next room, her daughter, Kamsi, hummed softly as she folded her neatly washed uniforms. At 16, she was vibrant, brilliant, and beautiful. She dreamt of becoming a nurse, of caring for the sick, and building a better life. But Margaret had other plans, dreams that were rooted in desperation, fear, and the bitter taste of poverty. The next morning, as Margaret walked to the market, she bumped into Madame Gloria, the richest trader in town. Her gold bangles clinked as she spoke, her tone sweet but commanding. "Margaret, you know my son is looking for a wife. He's willing to marry early. I heard your daughter is of age." Margaret paused, her heart pounding. Madame Gloria smiled, reading her silence as interest. "He'll pay bride price quickly. Your debts will vanish, and you will start a business of your own." Margaret swallowed hard. The words "the debts will vanish" rang in her ears like a choir of freedom bells. But at what cost? That night, Margaret lay awake thinking. Kamsi's innocent face flashed before her eyes. She thought of her daughter's dreams, her gentle voice saying, "Mama, I want to be a nurse. I want to save lives." Tears welled up, but Margaret wiped them away quickly. Tears would not pay rent. The next morning, Kamsi saw her mother looking troubled. "Mama, are you okay?" she asked softly. Margaret forced a smile. "I'm fine, my child. Everything will soon be okay." But in her heart, she knew she was about to break the one heart that trusted her unconditionally. After dinner, Margaret called Kamsi to sit by her. "My daughter, Madame Gloria, came to me today. Her son, Chima, wants you as his wife." Kamsi froze. Marriage at 16? "Mama, but I want to finish school. I want to be someone. Please, Mama." Her voice cracked with desperation. Margaret turned away, unable to look her in the eyes. "I know, Kamsi, but this is for our good. You will live in comfort. I will be free from debts. You will help us." Kamsi's tears fell like silent rain. She realized her dreams were being sold for survival. The next morning, Kamsi woke up feeling like a prisoner sentenced without trial. Her mother avoided her gaze as she prepared breakfast. Throughout the day, Kamsi moved like a ghost, her mind filled with dark clouds. She thought of running away, but where would she go? Margaret, too, felt empty inside. She watched her daughter's sadness, but forced herself to remain strong. She whispered to herself, "This is life. Sacrifices must be made." But deep within, her soul felt heavy, as though she was burying her own child alive. Within a week, preparations for Kamsi's marriage began. Madame Gloria sent wrappers, rice bags, and drinks to Margaret's house as bride price items. Neighbors congratulated her with envious smiles, praising her luck. Margaret smiled back, but each praise felt like a knife. Kamsi sat in her room, staring at her nursing textbooks. She ran her fingers over the images of syringes, bandages, and white coats. Each page was a dream fading into dust. She closed the book, hugged it to her chest, and cried quietly until sleep claimed her. Chima arrived with his friends to visit his bride-to-be. He was 28, rough-faced, with eyes that devoured Kamsi as she served them drinks. "Turn around," he ordered softly, and she obeyed with trembling hands. Her mother stood by the door silent, watching the exchange. "Beautiful," Chima said with a smirk. "Don't worry, I'll take good care of her." Margaret forced a smile and thanked him. That night, Kamsi whispered into her pillow, praying for God to wake her up from this nightmare that was quickly becoming reality. The next day at school, Kamsi confided in her teacher, Mrs. Ijoma. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she spoke. "Ma, my mother is marrying me off. I want to finish school. I want to be a nurse." Mrs. Ijoma hugged her tightly. "Don't worry, my child, I will speak to her." That evening, Mrs. Ijoma visited Margaret. She pleaded with her to let Kamsi finish her education, but Margaret shook her head. "I am sorry, madam. You don't understand what hunger feels like. You don't understand what debt can do to someone's dignity. Soon the wedding date was fixed. Kamsi's bridal list included everything from expensive lace to sets of pots and even a gas cooker. Margaret watched as Madame Gloria ticked off each item with ease. This marriage was nothing to her, just another transaction. In the kitchen, Kamsi sat staring at the wall. Her friends had stopped visiting, unable to bear seeing her suffer. Only Chidima sneaked in sometimes to sit by her silently, holding her hand. "Don't forget me," Chidima whispered one afternoon, tears in her eyes. Kamsi smiled weakly. "I will never forget you." On her last day of school, Kamsi walked slowly to her class. Her teachers wept silently as she handed over her books. Her classmates wrote farewell notes in her journal. "You were the smartest," one note read. Another said, "You will always be our nurse in our dreams." As the bell rang for the last time, she walked out without looking back. The sun burned her skin, but the pain in her chest was greater. She felt her dreams falling away like dry leaves in Harmattan wind, leaving only bare branches of existence. On the morning of her traditional bridal bath, elderly women gathered to rub camwood paste on her skin. They sang songs about womanhood and marriage, their voices rising like morning chants. Kamsi sat still, her eyes lifeless as they painted her with turmeric and scented oils. Margaret peeked through the curtain, her chest tightening. She remembered Kamsi's first steps, her laughter, her school awards. But she quickly shook off the feeling. "No, Margaret," she whispered to herself. "This is for the best. You will survive. She will survive." Dressed in red lace and coral beads, Kamsi walked to the compound where Chima waited. Her steps were slow and reluctant, like a lamb led to slaughter. Women ululated, men clapped, and the drummers beat hard in celebration. But in Kamsi's ears, the sounds were funeral drums. As she knelt before Chima to serve him palm wine, her tears mixed with the wine. Chima lifted her chin roughly and whispered, "No tears today, wife." She swallowed her sorrow as he drank, sealing her fate with his satisfied smirk. That night, Kamsi sat on the edge of the bed in Chima's house, trembling. Chima entered, smelling of alcohol. "Undress," he commanded, unbuckling his belt. Her heart pounded in terror as she obeyed silently, tears streaming down her face. She closed her eyes, praying it would end quickly. Outside, Margaret lay awake in her own room, staring at the ceiling. Guilt consumed her. She pictured Kamsi's small, frightened face, but she forced herself to sleep, telling herself again and again, "She will adjust. She will be fine. Money will give her a good life." Kamsi woke up with aches all over her body. Chima was already gone, leaving his dirty clothes on the floor. She picked them up with shaking hands, cleaned the room, and went to the kitchen to prepare his breakfast. Madame Gloria watched her coldly. "You better behave well, girl." When Chima returned, he barely looked at her. He ate in silence, scrolled his phone, and left again. Kamsi sat at the table long after he left, staring at her hands. They looked different now, lifeless, stripped of purpose, stripped of dreams. Days turned into weeks. Margaret's debts were paid. She started a small provision shop, and neighbors praised her. "You are lucky," they said. "Your daughter married well." Margaret smiled, but each smile felt like betrayal. Every night she cried silently, guilt stabbing her chest like hot iron. One afternoon, she decided to visit Kamsi. As she walked to Madame Gloria's compound, her heart thudded with both excitement and dread. She hoped to see her daughter happy, even if forced happiness. Anything to ease her guilt. Kamsi opened the door, her eyes hollow and cheeks sunken. Margaret gasped. "My child, are you eating at all?" she asked. Kamsi forced a smile. "I eat, Mama. I clean. I cook. I am surviving." Her voice was empty, without melody or life. Margaret's tears fell as she hugged her. "Forgive me, my child," she whispered. But Kamsi did not respond. She simply stared at the ceiling, her soul too bruised to feel warmth. Margaret left that day with her heart heavy. For the first time, money felt like a curse. One evening, Chima came home drunk and angry. He accused Kamsi of being useless. "You can't even give me a child yet," he yelled, slapping her so hard she fell to the ground. She lay there, feeling blood drip from her nose onto the tiles. That night, as he snored beside her, Kamsi whispered prayers into the darkness. "God, please take me away from here. I don't care where. Just take me away." Tears soaked her pillow as pain wrapped around her chest like a snake tightening its grip. The next morning, Madame Gloria called Margaret to her shop. "Tell your daughter to behave," she said harshly. "She has not conceived. Shima is losing patience. If she can't give him a child, she will be sent away. Don't think your debts will remain forgiven." Margaret left, trembling. She felt trapped in a net of her own making. That night she could not sleep. Her small shop felt like a graveyard. The goods on the shelves mocked her silently, each sachet and tin a reminder of her daughter's sold happiness. Margaret visited Kamsi the next day. She fell to her knees before her. "My child, please, try to make him happy. Try to conceive quickly so they will not send you away. I can't survive the shame." Kamsi stared at her mother with cold, tearless eyes. "Mama," she whispered, her voice hollow, "you sold my life. Now you are asking me to buy it back with my womb?" Margaret sobbed uncontrollably, holding Kamsi's legs. But Kamsi felt nothing anymore. Her soul was gone. Her dreams were gone. Only emptiness remained. Weeks later, Kamsi ran away. No one knew where she went. Some said she jumped into the river. Others said she escaped to the city to work as a maid. Margaret searched everywhere but found nothing. She returned home, empty and broken. Every evening, she sat at her shop's doorstep, staring at the road, hoping to see her daughter's silhouette. But only shadows passed her by. She realized then that money was never worth her child's happiness. But it was too late. The price had been paid. Money over blood, and blood lost forever. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, kindly like this video and subscribe to this channel for more amazing story.